Before I moved to Thailand, I never really understood the traditional argument for women here. When you're in your 20s, you're not going to reject a chick with legs up to here because someone pointed out her laundry game's not up to scratch.
No, he's got a point.
It's only as you get more mature and ostensibly lazier, you realize there's a growing parity between big tits and clean dishes. And now I've been with a Thai woman for a long time, I would easily say marrying her was the smartest decision I've ever made in my life, because boob jobs are incredibly cheap here. I also knew from the get-go if I ever became a dad, it was going to be the longest and most difficult undertaking I'd ever do in my life, and I'm adamant that one of the only reasons I've made it so far without losing my sanity is thanks to marrying a brilliant Thai wife. Ha! Gay! Though I did have my reservations. After all, anyone willing to say I do to me must be a little bit. But it's not like marrying a Thai woman comes without heady hiccups either, and these issues go well beyond her missing all forms of sarcasm or believing the Tom Cruise mummy was better than the Brendan Fraser mummy. Heresy! On that note, here are 4 of the biggest issues I've found with marrying a Thai woman that you likely wouldn't have to deal with marrying a woman from your own country. My wife is pretty strong-willed, and it's one of the reasons why I was attracted to her in the first place. There is only so many up to yous you can hear before you want to go postal on the next Stepford wife wannabe you meet here.
I need some help.
At the same point, this is also one of the biggest causes from butting heads in our relationship. After all, you don't get strong-willed without believing you're always making the right decisions.
I know that. I'm smarter than you.
And even if she is wrong, I've learned the hard way that it doesn't matter because she has a get-out-of-jail-free card in every argument we have by simply saying, this is how we do things in Thailand and you don't understand Thai culture. What? What the fuck? And this wouldn't be that difficult to deal with if it didn't involve kids, but because kids truly are as tiring as they make them out to be in the movies, it can add a lot of frustration. And not only don't kids come with an instruction manual, but each model has this ability to break down in ways you never see coming. And when these problems come up, it's not like there's a helpline that you can call that has the steps you need to fix these matters. They're normally solved through intuition and accepting your kids are the spawn of Satan. But the level of, and yeah, I'm definitely using the correct word here, pig-headedness in Thailand, that they have the best answer to everything in life is borderline insane. And to avoid being killed, this is all anecdotal, obviously. FYI, my wife watches my video. Thai's absolute belief that their way is the best way isn't just limited to weird baby issues either. They'll always know the best way to make or repair things. They'll always know the best method for teaching or learning things. They'll always know the best way for getting things finished or completed. There is this kind of my house, my rules attitude that permeates through the entire country, which wouldn't be so scary if most of the country didn't think giving a bottle of red Fanta to a fat god will help them win the lottery. So this Thai way or the highway attitude can lead to overconfidence on ideas or concepts that have been recognized as fallacies for decades, but are still considered golden truths here. And to be fair, these arguments about belief systems usually aren't because your wife is crazily into Buddhism or ghost lore. It's often as she's getting pressure from her family to do exactly what they say is best. And unlike back home, you don't call your parents fucking idiots in Thailand.
Watch your profanity.
Instead, you follow hierarchy and maintain a united front, which of course means you know how you can throw out lines during arguments that will never be forgotten. One of my wife's favorites to bring up is a time when I lost it and said, I married you, not your family.
What an idiot.
Because in Thailand, unless you're dating an orphan or someone who hates their parents, it is one and the same thing. Again, we grew up watching films that made out that the in-laws are always a pain in the ass to deal with, and while this cliche is pretty much baloney, there are always going to be things that irk or frustrate others when they're forced into having a relationship with people that they didn't ask for, especially if her family is the type who think the answer to all of life's problems is a combination of temple, lottery tickets, and whiskey.
Stop it. Get some help.
Now looking back, I have absolutely no idea how my wife and I managed to stay together after some of the shit that we went through together. For example, within a 6-month period, we went from getting recently engaged, drinking with friends every weekend, and living alone together to finding out she's pregnant advancing a wedding for 800 guests by 6 months, having our firstborn kid, and having 3 members of her family move in with us. So our carefree lifestyle ended with much less of a bang and more like a 50-ton nuclear bomb getting dropped. But to be fair, only one of those changes gave me extremely high blood pressure, and it wasn't from my little princess. A lot of foreigners in Thailand make the main grievance with their in-laws about money.
Tell them to bring me my money.
I feel like there is a lot more to it than just that. Lack of privacy, overreaching their boundaries, literally using witchcraft and magic to make decisions for your next of kin.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
To be fair to my in-laws, they are pretty amazing grandparents. They help with the kids all the time. They don't drink, they don't gamble, they don't smoke. They do things around the house and they're happy to live minimal lives. At the same point, I didn't really plan on living my life with a partner who practically has her family coming and going in our house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There will be rare times where I'll have the house to myself for a few hours and get excited at doing something mundane like watching the footy on the couch in my underwear when suddenly the front door will open and a few family members will walk in and hang out like they own the house.
Surprise, motherfucker!
There'll be times where I'll have to wait 20 to 30 minutes to tell my wife something important because I can't get a word in during the conversation she's having with a family member at our house that she literally just spent 30 minutes talking to on the phone moments before she even arrived.
Hey, get off your phone! Hey!
And it is practically impossible to leave the house with my wife without having to stop every 5 minutes to answer a phone call from someone in her family over an emergency situation that ranges from how do you turn your TV on to where do you keep your fish sauce in your kitchen.
Oh, fuck yeah! This is the shit! Kill me now!
So if you do marry a Thai girl and want to keep both your privacy and sanity, then I recommend marrying one whose parents live at least 500 miles away, because broaching the subject of family in Thailand is simply an argument that you will never, ever in a million years win. Now, squarely pointing the finger in the mirror for once, there is a huge disparity in how some Thai women can perceive relationships with foreigners, often viewing it as akin to scoring a trophy boyfriend. Girls can earn face, gain respect, or get popular here by dating a foreigner, and while there's at least a million reasons for that I won't go into now, there are times where you can be dating a woman here who is more into the idea of having a foreign boyfriend than she is into you.
So the retail on this is $300,000.
And because of this, it can mean that she'll ignore plenty of warning signs that potentially you're not going to be the bee's knees of a flung partner that she's built a fantasy all her life of having.
Woohoo! Look at that lover fly!
And I'm not talking about abusive relationships or relentlessly cheating or not having the level of wealth that she may expect all foreigners have. I'm talking more about once the gloss wears off on a relationship and reality sets in of what you're planning on building as a partnership together. Every guy under the sun who has spent a bit of time in Thailand is aware of things like the aforementioned financial support of parents that they're usually expected to be cool with, but there's also things like sin sod, abortion being a massive no-no, and all the religious requirements and constant cultural expectations on the women as well. And because a lot of these things are completely foreign to us, it won't make things easy for her in having to accommodate you, her family, her friends, and last but not least with these amazing women, herself. Plenty of guys here can also take for granted the devotion a Thai woman may offer up to them quickly. Combine that with the money that they're bringing to the table, and it can create kind of a belief that they're holding all the cards in a relationship, which then keeps some dudes from worrying about whether the Thai woman's needs are being met, because her lovey-dovey attitude and the new financial position creates a presumption she must be living some type of fantasy life with you. But a Thai girl is not likely to tell you what she wants 5 years from now, especially early in the relationship. She knows that that conversation is going to be difficult because it puts a lot of pressure on you both if it's discovered that your goals are completely unaligned. Kids, marriage, what country you'll live in, what type of lifestyle you'll have. Instead, they go for the whole if I don't mention a problem, it doesn't exist strategy. And the last thing you want to do is end up in a long-term relationship with someone who's eventually going to hold a lot of resentment at you for giving up things that she's always dreamed of, but sacrificed because she was too shy to tell you what she wanted. Now, I find that most Thai girls are like Snoopy. They're happy to chill out most of the time, but if the shit ever hits the fan, they will cut sick. As the saying goes, walk softly, carry a Thai girl. This passionate, defensive attitude can definitely keep you out of a lot of potential trouble, knowing that you have a voracious animal by your side at all times. At the same point, it can also come back to bite you in the ass if the focus of her aggression ever turns out to be you. Now, my favorite anecdote for Thai women's instability comes from a story with my wife. We'd only been dating for a few weeks and took a trip to Koh Lan together, and while she went in for a shower, I chilled on the hotel bed playing Candy Crush. This was nearly a decade ago. But when she came out and she saw me tapping away on my phone, she slowly walked across the room with this menacing smile and said to me, verbatim, if I ever catch you messaging another woman, I'm going to cut.
Run, bitch! Run!
And I'm sure most guys in long-term relationships with Thai girls would have had similar anecdotes of threats from their significant others. Whether their bite is worse than their bark, I thankfully haven't discovered yet, but Thailand isn't particularly adverse from having the occasional Lorena Bobbitt wannabe either. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the eunuch treatment too. There's plenty of videos out there of Thai women beating the shit out of their partners in public. Which leads me to the only advice I will ever give to anyone about Thai women, because as far as I'm concerned, it's the only advice anyone needs. When you deal with the occasional argument that will arise from sharing a life with someone, don't try to reason, debate, or prove your point to a Thai woman in the heat of the moment. Simply open the Grab app, order her favorite somtam, then let her relax and eat it. And that advice there should solve 99% of the problems you'll have in a relationship with a Thai woman immediately.